All right, welcome back, everybody. Today is January 4th, or Beis Shvat, the second day of the Hebrew month of Shvat. There's a lot of yard sites coming up of different Tzaddikim this week. Today or tomorrow, I think, is Rav Zusha of Anapoli's yard site, or maybe today, I think, I didn't even check. And the Baba Sali is Wednesday night to Thursday, and on Friday is the Sfas Emes of Ger or Gur. So I wanted to learn a little bit about Tzaddikim. Sometimes we do this on the channel where we, read a little bit about a tzaddik that we don't know so much about. I happen to come from Ger, meaning from the Ger Hasidim. My grandfather was a Ger Chassid after the war. My father used to go to some of the Rebbes, I think the Pnei Menachem. And my third name, I have three names, Menachem Mendel Yisrael. Yisrael, the third name, is from the base Yisrael of Ger. So first of all, some people call it Ger in America. Most people, they call it Ger. In Israel, they call it Gur. But whatever, we'll just say Ger because that's just how I'm used to saying it, not to be mistaken for the Hebrew word for convert. There's a different name, the Yiddish name, for the town where the Ger Chassidim came from. So anyway, let's learn about this in this pamphlet over here. It has, the different yard sites. So we have Harav HaKadosh Rabbi Yehuda Aryeh Leib Zechusim Yogan of Gur or Ger. The Baal HaSfas Emes. The Sfas Emes was the name of the sefer that he wrote. It's a Hasidic sefer. And his yard site, his Yoim Hilula, is on Hei Shvat, which is this Friday, coming up. Okay. So let's just read about him, because I don't really know so much about him. So let's just read about him. So it says, Harav HaKadosh Rabbi Yehuda Aryeh Leib Alter. He was born in Warsaw on Chavtes Nisan, the year Tafresh Zayin. I think this is the year 1847. His father was Rav Av Mordechai Zecher Tzadik Kodesh L'Bracha, who was the son of the Chidushei Arim. The Chidushei Arim was the first, I guess, Rebbe of Ger, really. So basically, his grandfather was the Chidushei Arim. The Sfas Emes' grandfather was the Chidushei Arim. When he was 2 years old, his mother died, and 6 years later, his father died, and he moved to Ger. I guess they took him to Ger to be in the house of his grandfather, the Chidushei Arim, to be raised over there. And obviously, like most Tzaddikim, they were able to already see from a young age that he was, learned a lot of Torah and different things like that. And his grandfather, the Chidushei Arim, who was now taking care of him, hired a teacher to teach him. And he made with him 3 conditions. And the 3 conditions were that this teacher had for the Sfas Emes were to wake him up every day before Alayis HaShachar. That was the first condition. The second condition was to learn with him 18 hours b'ritzifus, 18 hours straight. And every single day they should be mechadish, they should try to create something new in their learning, figure out a new shot, a new explanation, a new something new. Something new should happen when they learn. Okay? So obviously he learned a lot of Torah, the Sfas Emes. And when he married the Rabbanit Yocheved Rivka, right, the Rebbetzin, who was the daughter of Harav Rav Yehuda Kaminer Zatzal, who was the grandson of the Goyen Rav Baruch Frankel Ta'imim the Baruch Tam. Okay. Whoa. Whatever. Yeah, a lot of family tree stuff going on over here. So what's the pshat over here? What's going on? It says Kedesh lo yish shmoy shel hachosin kishem hachosin. Okay, so his name was Yehuda. Okay, the Sfas Emes' name was Yehuda, and it says that his father-in-law also was named Rav Yehuda. And since they shouldn't have the same name, the Sfas Emes, the Chidushei Arim told the Sfas Emes that the chassan shouldn't have the same name as his father-in-law. So they added on the name Aryeh. So that's where the name Yehuda Aryeh Leib comes from. And after they got married, the Sfas Emes and his new wife, Rabbi Yehuda Rivka, lived in the city of Ger or Gur. Sorry, I keep on saying that because it says Gur here in Hebrew. I'm just used to saying Ger or Ger with like an R at the end, an R-E-R. Ba'oisen Hashanim, in the first few years after he got married, he didn't really, he wasn't really with any of the Chassidim. He just was being Isaac in Torah and Tefillah. And then came on the 23rd of Adar and Chaf Gimel in the month of Adar in Taf Reish Chavav. I'm not sure which English that is. The Chidush Harim passed away. And Rabbi Yehuda Aryeh Leib, who was the Sfas Emes, or who wasn't called Sfas Emes at that time, whatever, was appointed to be the Rav of the city of Ger, Al Pi, the Tzava of his grandfather. Through the will of his grandfather, they learned that the Chidush Harim wanted him to be the Rav of Ger. And the Chassidim wanted him also to be the Rebbe, but he didn't want to be the Rebbe, right? So there was no Rebbe. They besides him being the Rebbe, they also wanted him to be the new Rebbe of the Chassidics of the Chassidic sect of Ger, of the whole entire group. But he didn't want to, and the Chassidim, basically, he joined them with the Chassidim who now were taking their leadership from Rabbi Chanoi Chenech HaKohen Levin of Alexander. Okay? But 4 years later, after Rabbi Chanoi Chenech died, he finally, and then they said, come on, you got to be the Rebbe. He's like, fine, I'll be the Rebbe. And it says, even though he was the leader, he wouldn't sit at the head of the table. He would sit in the middle. And from then on, all of the Rebbes of Ger would sit in the middle of the table and not at the head of the table. Okay, I'm not sure what that means, like by a tish and by tish usually sitting by the middle. I don't know. Okay, whatever. Small details. So now, under the Sfas Emes' leadership, the Chassidus of Ger or Gur became one of the biggest groups of Chassidim in the country of Poland. And he was a young Rebbe, so a lot of people came to him and how they should learn and how they should do their avodah. And he spoke to everybody. He always had two Neros lit on his table all the time. And what's it called? And he also would see a ton of people, and he did take money from the Chassidim. And how did he how did he get money? He was misparnes from a small store that the Rebbetzin Yehuda Rivka ran. And he would tell some of his chassidim would work and everything like that. Okay, fine. In the year Taf Reish Nun Tes, there was a new train line. Back then, everybody traveled on trains. Nechnaf Kav Rakevet Miyuchad Shayamurkov Mikama Kroinis Bilvad. Now it connected the city of Ger with Warsaw. And this Kav had a nickname, it was called the Kav Shel HaRebbe, like the train line of the Rebbe, basically. Yiddish Nikra B'Fikulam Kuleka. And because they would bring all the Chassidim from Warsaw to Ger. And when he was the leader, he also built a new Beis Medrash in Ger. And the Bechatzeri Nivnu Agape Megurim Shenodlu Sham is Alpha Chassidim Shabbat L'Shreis Mechiz B'Cham. They built, I guess, a lot of houses or something, like a place for everybody to live. So all the thousands of Chassidim that would come for the Mechitzasai, that they would come for, Yontif and Shabbos, Chagim and stuff like that. And the first Beis Medrash that he built actually burnt down in the year Tafresh Samach Aleph, but they built the second one exactly like the first one, but they built it from stone and not from wood. I was saying, I remember from my grandfather and from my father knowing that I think before the war, before the Holocaust, Ger was probably the biggest Hasidic group in Poland, and many of them were wiped out in the Holocaust. I mean, today Ger is the biggest Hasidus in Israel today, for sure. In the month of Av, in Tafresh Samach Aleph, in the year Tafresh Samach Aleph, the Rebbetzin Yocheved Rivka passed away, and the Rabbi married Bezivuk Sheni, second wife. Nases Harabana is Bitosh Harav Kodesh Rabbi Baruch Migorlitz. He married the daughter of Rabbi Baruch of Migorlitz, who was the son of the Divrei Chaim sons. In the year Tafresh Samachay, he got sick, and the doctors didn't know what it was. Umimena nistalik biyoim hey b'shvat Tafresh Samachay. Bishnas hachen bilvad. I guess chen bilvad means nun ches is 58. Nun ches chen ches nun. Okay. And he's buried in the city of Ger, in the oil beside his grandfather, the Chedush Aryeh. So that's who the Sfas Emes was. Let's learn about a little bit more. Now we learn about his children. Harav HaKodesh Av Mordechai HaImrei Emes was his son, I guess, Imrei Emes. Ha'admor Migor Nusi Moetzes Gedolah Torah. Mimali Mekoimai, right? So his son, the Divrei Emes, the Imrei Emes was the next Rabbi. Harav HaKodesh Rav Moshe Betzalel, who died at Kiddush Hashem in Treblinka, and Rabbi Nechemia, and his son Rabbi Nechemia, who was the Rosh Yeshiva in the Yeshiva Sfas Emes in Yerushalayim. And Rabbi Menachem Mendel was the Rabbi Shel Pavonitz Vikolish, and he sat at the head of the Agudas Rabbanim in Poland. And he also was nifter. He also was killed al Kiddush Hashem in Treblinka. And his daughters were Esther, the wife of Rabbi Yaakov Meir Biederman, Ufega, who was the wife of Rav Hagoyin HaKodesh Rav Chonuch Tzvia Kohen Levin, Av Beistin of Beinden. Okay, so that's his family. Now we're going to learn about his book, the Svarim. Sifrei Hanaida, who Sefer Sfas Emes. Everybody knows the Sefer Sfas Emes is one of the biggest Hasidic works. Ala Torah, it's on the Torah and also on Yontif and also on the different times of the year. And this Sefer was printed by his family members after he died. And the Sefer is called Sfas Emes from the pasuk that he wrote in his book 2 weeks before he died. Sfas Emes Tikon La'ad. I don't know where that pasuk is, but it sounds like a good pasuk. And this book is one of the biggest, books of Hasidus that spread out the more. And where did all this stuff come from? That's in this book. These are drushes that the Rebbe said on Shabbosim and on Chagim by the Tish, and after Shabbos he would write them down himself. Sometimes that's why you could see. I don't really learn Sfas Emes so much, but so that's why you could see sometimes when you're looking at the head of the drasha, like I guess like the whatever, like the what it's going to be about. Sometimes you could see the word kitzer or irvuve dvarim v'kedoim. I don't know if that's what's printed now in a Sfas Emes. Maybe I should start learning some Sfas Emes. And yeah, it's a cool. K'moy Kain, they also wrote a book, the Sfas Emes on Shas. Al Moed ve'al Kachim. Okay, so that's the Sfas Emes. Let's see what it says over here. It says, let's learn one of his teachings. It says in the pasuk Bereshis, "Ketointi mikol hachasadim mikol emes." Right? That's Avram Avinu talking, I believe. Maybe not. No, that's not Avram Avinu. That's Yaakov. So let's see what he says over here. Hachasadim, that all the kindnesses that Hashem does with us brings us to busha and like embarrassment and lowering ourselves down before Hashem. Hashem does everything for us. Shekein anu. Also us, the Bnei Yisrael, Yodim She'en Anu Ruyim Klal L'Kal Meis Hashem Tevez V'Chasadim, right? Because we know that we're not worthy to get kindness from Hashem, from all of the bad things that we do and things like that. So we're embarrassed to take it. V'zehu Katointi, and this is the word Katointi. Ani Katan V'Shav B'Nei. I'm very small and low in my eyes. Mikol Chasadim Shal Hashem Yisbarach, right? That Hashem does for me. Like, why do I deserve it? Aval umas ha'olam einakin, but the nations of the world are not like this. Kishem mekabim toiva, when they get something good, hemadayin misyamrim leimer ki koichem v'oitzin yodem oisel hanzois. They think that it's their koyach and their strength that they did this. V'oig nisharim begavasim, and they still stay in their gaiva. V'zehu shekasav v'chesed l'umim chatas, gam achar chesed him nisharim chatoim. Chesed l'umim, the kindness of the nations also chatas, like meaning that even after the chesed they see, they still remain chatoyim, they still remain in their gaiva, that it's not from a higher place. So that's what Sfas Emes is saying, that us Jews, we know that when there's kindness, we get like, whoa, Hashem is really hooking it up, but like we're also kind of like, whoa, like what did I do to deserve this? I'm a nobody kind of. That's one of the teachings. So that's today, and now we know who the Sfas Emes was, a little bit more about the Rebbes of Ger and everything like that. All right, hope everyone enjoyed that video.